Hello, everybody. This is Sandy Durenzi, your host of the podcast Invisible Connections. And today we're going to be talking about back to school tips. It is September, back to school month is rolling around. I remember when I was going back to school, which really was only like 2 years ago, when I was preparing for my senior year of college. But I know there's also younger kids, middle schoolers. I'm thinking of my students that I used to have and my internship and at my previous job, all preparing for back to school. So I thought I would just kind of make a video with some back to school tips. So I got my caramel coffee Nespresso. It's so funny. My students used to make fun of me for that. Your fancy Nespresso machine. But actually, for you teachers that are watching this, that is a great opportunity to show cost-benefit analysis, because I actually took that opportunity to show mathematically how much money I save having a coffee machine. A real-life example of a good investment. Okay, so these tips are mainly going to be for the students, but also just keep in mind that since we're talking about pretty much every age here, some of these might apply more to the parents than the students, and I will discuss as we go. So, as a former teacher, I've collected some of these. Starting off with tip 1, touch base with teachers about needs and accommodations. So, for younger kids, this would be parents contacting the teachers, but I believe as your kids get older, you should have them reach out to their teachers, because that teaches them advocacy skills and prepares them for if they want to go to college or trade school, where they're not necessarily in the same school setting. You want your kids to be able to accommodate for themselves and stand up for themselves. And that is something that I feel my mom did really well. She prepared me for being able to have advocacy and stand up for myself when I need to. I had to end up using these skills in the job force. I ended up having to use these skills in college and advocated my needs. One of the needs that I had that arose as I was in college was single dorms. I was not able to have a peaceful experience sharing a dorm other than my freshman year, and then COVID hit. So I just wanted my senior year a peaceful experience and not have to worry about being roomed with someone I didn't know and whether to trust them or not. And that was so not only academic, but also social accommodations as well. Keep those things in mind. Now, I think every kid should attempt to socialize. It's important, but for some, it might be harder than others, and they might just need that extra layer of support. I know there were times where students felt uncomfortable going to recess and asked if they could stay in my room. Now, some of them I would try to say, I don't know if this is going to help you, because I want you to be able to socialize. Some other kids, I would see them trying and they were having a hard time, and so that's when I would open my classroom up to them with the permission of administration. So tip number 2, I would say, is making sure to have fidgets or headphones for your child. And a lot of people will be surprised at that, because those could be distractions. And so some people might argue, well, you were a teacher, they're distractions. They're not, here, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Nespresso coffee pot. Ooh, caramel, so good. Okay. Some people might think headphones and fidgets are distractions, and I could totally see there maybe being a rule of not using it during instruction. However, I think if it's something that becomes an issue, I think a lot, it's like a habit. If it's something that becomes an issue, I know there's a lot of kids who need fidgets. I always said, if you participate in what we're doing, I'm going to ask follow-up questions about the instruction. If you participate in what you're doing, you may use one of the fidgets that I have in the classroom. Although I guess this one's saying that they should also have their own. In some cases, I think they should have their own if they have specific sensory issues. In other cases, I think teachers should provide them, so maybe I'll tweak this tip a little bit. Just make sure there is a fidget available. That's how I should have stated it. Just make sure there's a fidget available for the student so that they have it when they need it. And as for headphones, again, I know this is very controversial. However, my opinion is if I have done all of my instruction and they just need to do some practice problems and it's not a distraction and it's actually helping them focus, I don't mind letting kids listen to music. But again, it has to not be a complete distraction. So it should be provided when they need it, because sometimes they do. I have taught special needs kids, and sometimes the environment can get too overwhelming for them, and they need that noise cancellation. So having it so if they need it, they have it. That doesn't mean using it all the time. It doesn't mean using it during instruction. I just want to make that clear because I know some people are going to listen to this and be like, absolutely not. That's a distraction. Again, it's up to the teacher to make sure it's not being used as a distraction, but a tool. Okay, tip 3, advocate for when you need help both socially and academically. So I think this goes back to tip number 1 a little bit. But this, I think, more was angled towards throughout the year, whereas tip 1 was more at the beginning and before the year starts. Make sure to touch base. So let's say that you see a pattern in a child, like not turning their homework in on time, or things like that. Well, I guess I'm talking from a teacher perspective. Maybe if the parent sees it. Touching base and being like, hey, is this difficulty too hard? Is this too overwhelming? When I was a teacher at the middle school, the kids would come, some of them came with their parents to the parent-teacher conference. However, not all of them. So I think it depends on the age as well. You're obviously not going to bring your kindergartner into a parent-teacher conference. But, middle school, high school, I think that's when you can start to have the kids come into their parent-teacher conference, and that's also a later tip. Being able to say, hey, this is getting a little too hard for me. I might need to go down or up a level. It's an important thing to check in on. And, it's important to make sure that your students or your kids or whichever perspective you are watching this in, to make sure that they are well taken care of. So for an example, if a student is getting their homework done, but they're staying up till 3 a.m. to get their homework done, that's also not helpful. And that might mean that they need to go down a level. I had a student stay up late to get their homework done. And he or she was dysregulated the next day. So definitely making sure that the homework load is not too much and that the difficulty is not too much. Sometimes that means modifying. Sometimes that means accommodating. And sometimes that means just, yeah, they're not really at the right level here. We're going to have to move you to a different class. That happened to me. I had to move to special ed in first grade. I kind of hate they call it special ed. But I'm only calling it that because that's what it's known for. I don't know what else to call it. But I had to move there for a while. And then it was in 5th grade that I was excelling a lot. And I knew all the answers in math class. And they're like, yeah, it's maybe time to consider moving her. Now, the only thing that sucked about them moving me up is that they moved me up in the middle of the year, so I'd missed all the other lessons that they were doing and had to figure out how to fill in the gaps, and it was really difficult, and I, barely passed math that year, and the next year I was golden, I was passing just fine. So, also making sure to not do that, making sure that the child is ready. And if that means waiting till the next year and figuring out other additional things to challenge them, that would be good too. Trying to sip my coffee here while I talk. Damn, that is some good caramel coffee. Golden caramel Nespresso pod with vanilla syrup and whole milk on top. Trust me. Those of you listening, if you have an espresso machine and you try that out, you'll love it. Okay. Continue to keep teacher-parent connection. So, one of the things I really liked when I was a teacher is parents reaching out to me and trying to keep a connection. Not reaching out defensively, but saying, hey, is there any way we can work on this? I had a parent reach out to me and say, hey, this student, I think he just needs a little additional challenge. Can you give him, something to do, something extra to do as an additional challenge? And it's yeah, sure. Thank you for reaching out. And it gave me some direction as well, because if it is a first-year teacher you are working with, they are probably doing 50 million different things, and it is so easy for something to slip their mind. I know for me, I had a very difficult time as a first-year teacher, just with the amount of workload. I was taking stuff home on weeknights. I was taking stuff home pretty much every day. And it's funny because some people told me, well, you shouldn't be taking that much home. But I'm if I want a lesson for next week, if I want a lesson for this day, if I want to be more elaborate on my lessons and do it the way I'm being asked to do it, oh my gosh, I can't talk, then I need to take stuff home. So my point in saying those things is that as a first-year teacher, it is very easy to have some of those individual needs slip our minds. And so when we have parents reach out to us, it's very helpful to us. I know I also had another student that I was trying to help, and I was trying every single technique I possibly could. And I was so focused on helping that student that it was hard to meet some of these other individual needs. So it was a nice thing for some of the parents to reach out, and in a non-confrontational way. Because I have in the past had parents reach out in other experiences in a confrontational way, and it doesn't necessarily help because it doesn't help me understand the whole situation. And the other thing too is I might know that student's needs. I might do everything to try to meet them, but if they're behind and they come to me super behind, how much am I expected to do as one teacher? So I think having conversations, not demanding anything, but having conversations. Hey, this is what I'm seeing here at school. Hey, this is what I'm seeing at home. All right, let's work together. We're a team. You want to approach it as you being a team, because those are the stories that end up being the most successful. Because I had parents approach me like that, and they ended up learning. The students ended up learning and getting better and growing. And I had that in my internship, and I had that in a bunch of other places. And they ended up growing and changing and getting better, and it became easier for them having a team. As from a teacher perspective, we don't always know what's happening at home. And from a parent perspective, I'm not a parent, but I know the parents don't know what's going on at school. So you meet up, you talk about it, and you form a solution. All right, tip 5. as the child gets over, have them included in parent-teacher conferences. So I think I said that earlier. Having them advocate for themselves. Hey, this is too hard. Hey, this is too easy. Hey, I'm struggling with this. Hey, I'm going to bed at 2 a.m. every night. Can we maybe tone down the homework? Having them advocate for themselves and having those skills is going to help them when they go to get a job. For me, there was a time where I had to advocate for myself at a job. Hey, these are the things I need. These are the things I struggle with. That didn't end well, but I ended up getting what I needed. The person that I told I needed those things to didn't want to do them. So I told a higher up, and then I was able to have my needs met. So also teaching your kid to really, really fight for what they need. Tip 6, encourage extracurriculars to help engage in other interests and make friends. This one is so, so important. Now, you want to make sure that balance is key. Because I remember in middle school, I signed up for so much stuff. Theater, chorus, violin, Girl Scouts. I was running around with like a chicken with my head cut off, going everywhere to get everything done. That did not help me. And I realized that I wasn't really practicing violin enough. I realized I wasn't doing certain things enough, so I ended up dropping some of those extracurriculars. So balance. And balance is going to look different for everybody. So making sure that your child has balance as a parent, and as the kid, making sure that you do not feel overwhelmed and you're getting done your academics as well as your extracurriculars. So those are some of my tips. And one of the things I enjoyed doing a lot was music. Music and theater were my thing, and they probably still are. If some theater company asked me if I wanted to be in their small town play, I would probably say yes, because I just enjoyed it a lot. I only ever had one main role, but it was about the experience. My one main role was that I got to play the narrator in Aladdin. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. It was in Aladdin Kids. Funny thing is, I'm pretty sure I'm still listed on the Firebird Theater website. So if you see my picture, yes, that is me. I am on the Firebird Theater website because I was in Aladdin Kids in middle school, and I played the narrator. And I just had so much fun being that big turban guy. I didn't have, at the time, the costuming was just wearing the theater shirt, so I just wore that with a black cardigan or something and just had my hair done, normally just straightened and short. And so that was fun. I did every single choir in high school. Again, you guys, balance, but I had it all under control. I did chorus, chorale, and jazz choir. And we went to I'll never forget my favorite part about jazz choir that I was in, because Jonathan, my brother, was in all of them too, except for jazz. One of my favorite things about jazz choir is that we went to the Einstein Hospital during Christmas, and we would sing Christmas carols. And it was such an amazing memory to bring so much joy to people who had to spend their holidays in the hospital because they were sick. And it just gave me a good feeling. And they were always such good days. And also, bonus, we got to miss class, which was awesome because it was a field trip. My music teacher at the time, she was my favorite teacher. Her and my speech therapist, they were both my two favorite teachers in high school. And I just really enjoyed jazz choir. It was my favorite thing to do. And then the other things I did horseback riding, but that was mainly outside of school. So I also encourage, if there's something that your child likes doing, or as the kid, if there's something you like doing that's outside of school, pursue it. I had so much fun horseback riding. And and I did a bunch of competitions, and I got first place equestrian in my last competition my senior year. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. I was against like 23 people, so to hear them say, and in first place we have Sandy Dorenzi, I can't even tell you the feeling of accomplishment that I felt. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I just outmatched everybody in this room. It was great. And I just remember my instructor looking at me with this face, and we have a picture of it. It's great. She just looked at me like, oh my God, did they just say your name? You're first? You're first! Yeah, so that was fun. I'm trying to think what other activities I did. I tried to get involved in as much as I could. I just really enjoyed the extracurriculars. They were a lot of fun. Also, business. Honestly, if your kids are in high school, have them take an entrepreneurship class. I'm telling you, it's amazing. I took one in high school. I think it was my sophomore year, and we got to watch Shark Tank and see it go down. We got to do I don't remember if we did like a fake business poster or something, but oh my gosh, I loved entrepreneurship. It was an amazing class. All right, we're hitting my last tip already. I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'm just going to spend the last little bit talking about back to school. But my last tip is creating a routine at home. Having a wind down routine. Having a time expected that your kids are going to sleep as a parent. And as a kid, keeping that routine when you get older. Because the truth is, balance is hard, and giving yourself a solid, I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock is important. And if not all the homework gets done and you can't manage it, that's when you might consider talking to your teacher. But having a routine at home does wonders. I mean, the thing is, I'm autistic, obviously, so I needed a routine to feel comfortable growing up. And I had way more of a routine at my mom's house. I'm just going to be honest. And it made a difference. It made a humongous difference. It made a difference in my mood. It made a difference in how much I got done. It made a humongous difference. And I'm not crapping on my dad. They just are different parenting styles. And that was one thing I liked about my mom just a little bit better, is that she just had a little bit more of a routine layout. I knew what was happening more. I knew what to expect. And she made a billboard for me when I was in middle school of a routine and also of a chore chart too. And it was really cool because it was made of, I'm trying to remember. There's Velcro on it. So basically what would happen is there's Velcro on there were two strips of Velcro, one on the left, one on the right. All the chores would be on the left. As soon as I finished them, I would move each one by one to the right until they were all to the right. The other thing she had growing up was a prize bin. And if I got my chores done regularly, now this was more when I was younger. If I got my chores done regularly, I would get a marble in a container that she did. It was like those turquoise blue marbles. And then as soon as it was full or there was enough, I could spend it on a prize. This also teaches your kids to save money. So this is a great way to teach them financing and to earn things instead of just getting them. And this is something that I'm definitely going to continue with, hopefully, my future kids, because I hope to have kids in the future. I just think it was an amazing system that she came up with, and it got us excited to do our chores. So definitely create a routine, create a chore chart. And you know what? Honestly, chore charts, some people might think, oh, chores, why, or whatever. But here's the thing. Chores taught us responsibility, and that we need to be responsible for our space, that we need to keep it clean. Something I cannot stand. I saw this a lot in college. People who were not taught those lessons and just make a mess and leave it there for other people to clean up. No, no, no. This happened all of the time in college, and I'm not just talking about roommates. When I was in a single, there was a sink next to me, and I cannot tell you how many times people would clog that sink and walk away. Cannot tell you how many times people would leave the bathrooms uncleaned. It drove me insane. I get that some people think I'm a neat freak, and I promise you I'm not. To other people. To me, like, when I can control it, I'm a neat freak. But there are times where I'm like, dude, all I'm asking for is for you to not clog up the sink. If you pour something down there and there's chunks and it's blocking the drain, get a paper towel if you don't want to touch it and just take it off and clean it. Just, it's common courtesy if you're sharing something. It was a shared space. So this teaches them responsibility. So when they get to college and when they get to other places or when they get their own home, it stays clean. And it's so important. It is, and I don't even think it's happening enough these days from what I've seen. So definitely chores, definitely routine, all of those things. And if it's too, if it's too much for the child to do their chores during the week, do it over the weekend. Find a time over the weekend. Like for me, I deep clean my room and bathroom every Friday. Every Friday. There are times where my mom has had to change it. I'm like, nope, I'm sticking to Friday. I need it to be consistent. So, and some people don't need that consistency, but teaching those skills, it's really the underlying skills of it all that are important. Life, work-life balance or life-work balance. I like life-work balance better. And making sure to teach responsibility and how to share spaces and things like that. And earning stuff. Those chores and earning a prize, those were things that taught us responsibility and being good with your money. Because if I wanted a prize, I would save up for it. Okay, we are going to move forward. So I think you guys know what's coming. As you all know, I am Teamwork Wins board secretary. We are still trying to fundraise, so please, please, please help us out. Links are in the description of this podcast, and here it is.
We're back.
Oh, the volume. There we go.
My name's Adele Saccarelli Cavallero. I'm the founder and executive director of this wonderful organization, a foundation for awareness and change. And it's dear to my heart.
I'm Gail Kirshner, and I'm the executive co-director.
I'm Sandy Durenzi, and I am the board secretary.
Hey, is Teamwork Win still running? Well, we're on hiatus for a little bit. Or no, during COVID, we had to stop a little bit. Over the years, I have received phone calls from people that have attended our camps, and now they're in college and in the workplace. And I talk to these people that have attended the programs. They're always so excited, and they express such great gratitude about what they learned here. Our staff and our volunteers just were miraculous. I know that sounds a little out there, but they really were. They changed lives.
Our new focus with our programs is with 3 different underserved populations. One is underserved youth who are at high risk for getting into trouble, having difficulty in school, and not being happy and successful. We also want to work with youth who have parents in prison, and we also want to work with ex-offenders who are trying diligently to turn their life around but need additional support because of their invisible challenges.
I would really like to create a program for raising awareness and educating workplaces about the autism spectrum and hiring employees, as well as trying to spread education to workplaces about autism. I'm hoping to also help one-on-one in order to help them find employment opportunities. One of the other things I want to do is make one of these programs virtual, still in the works, but I think it would be really cool because then people from all around the world or different parts of the United States and different time zones would be able to join.
We have a lot to do about awareness and change. Our organization is really about looking at the perceptions as children, sometimes misperceptions, sometimes stories that we told as children, and kind of clearing them up, undoing those beliefs about ourselves that aren't so nice. And I hope you come join us. See you soon.
We really do hope you come join us. So please donate to our GoFundMe or just spread around the word of teamworkwins.org. We are really trying to change the perceptions that people have on themselves. And I'm going to be honest with all of you. I really struggled with that growing up. I struggled to feel confident. I struggled in social situations a lot. And I just had a very difficult time making friends. And that was something that's very hard for me because, making friends in school, feeling like you fit in is so important to students and so important to kids that it just was such a hard time. And my life changed when we heard about Teamwork Wins and my mom signed me up for it. I met so many amazing people and so many amazing friends, and this program seriously changed my life. I'm not even joking, you guys. Like, I just am not the same person as I would have been. It made me more confident. It made me, realize that, I could make friends and that I was able to, and that there were other people like me. It made me more job prepared as well because they did help. They got us out there volunteering. We went to different places. It was an amazing, amazing program. And then COVID hit, as you heard. So please, if you were listening to this, take my endorsement, okay? Trust me. I am an autistic, and I went to this program, and it changed my perception. It changed my life, and we want to keep doing this for other people. So, yeah, just wanted to put one final endorsement on there. And as for back to school tips, this is my main stuff. Something else I will say that was helpful to me, mainly in college, is being able to have a planner. They give them to you in middle school and most of the time, like a homework book. But in college, I would get myself a planner. It just helps so much. And I would do I still do it to this day. I have it sitting right in front of me. I make a checklist for every day. And as soon as I get something done, I check it off. Today I have, drafting some more of my program, editing a chapter, practicing my uke. Yes, I do ukulele now. And you see, that's another thing, making sure in college especially that you leave time to do something that you enjoy is also important. I honestly didn't sign up for a lot of activities near the end of my college experience. I kind of wish I was able to do things like Emotion my senior year, and that was what I wanted to do. But I knew that it wasn't going to be good for me because of my internship. I was constantly, working on my internship, and I wouldn't have had any free time if I did Emotion, and I would have been exhausted out of my mind. And some people were okay with that. But for me, that balance was really important in putting my everything into my internship. So I knew that it wasn't going to be good for me. But having that free time and that wind down time is so important. So I made sure to have a little time at night before I went to bed. I would watch one anime episode, whatever anime I was watching at the time. I watched a couple. If I'm thinking back, I mainly watched Noragami at that time, I think. Noragami, Fruits Basket. I'd watch one episode. Honestly, I kind of rewatched the same animes for a while. I went through a period where they just meant so much to me that I couldn't wrap my head around watching another anime. And I don't know if it's my repetitive nature, because I'm on the spectrum of just watching the same thing. Because sometimes people on the spectrum like to watch the same thing over and over, or listen to the same story over and over. So I don't know if it was my repetitive nature, but I just really enjoyed Fruits Basket. I connected with the characters. And so that and Noragami I used to watch a lot. And I'd watch one episode and maybe read for a little bit. I read a lot of romance novels. And then I would go to bed and wake up the next day and get ready to go. I think I woke up at 6 a.m. No, I left at 6:15. Pretty sure I woke up at 5:20 a.m. every morning. Yeah, it was early, but I got there early. For context, my internship was a half an hour from college, so I had to get up pretty early to get there on time. But I still enjoyed it. It was in Harrisburg, and I just really enjoyed my internship and what I did there. But I had balance. I had a planner, I had things that I wrote in there, I made sure to do. I also used the Remind app too, because I'm forgetful, and it reminded me of stuff I needed to do so I could check it off, and it was on my MacBook and my phone and everything because I'm Apple connected. So yeah, anyways, those are my main tips. To those of you who are going back to school, good luck. I hope you enjoy it. Enjoy it while it lasts, because life gets a lot more complicated after school. I'll tell you that for sure. So enjoy it while it lasts. I know it's hard right now to enjoy it, but I hope that there are teachers out there that are making it enjoyable. For me, a lot of the time with my lessons, I would try to add my own element, and I had kids singing about math, which I will never forget. I enjoyed every single time I heard a student sing about math. So that is it for my podcast today. I know I'm ending a little early again, but I hope all of you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed making them, and I hope that this helps those of you who are going back to school. And I wish all of you going back to school good luck. All right, like I said, please support the GoFundMe or teamworkwins.org by sharing the links. And I hope you all have a great day. See you next week.